I see somebody wearing something Hawaiian, I'm like, "Oh, hey," or, like, some kinda, like, Polynesian or Islander type thing. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, "Oh, hey," that like, spark up a conversation, or, like, I'm driving by a car and I see a bumper sticker or a decal, and I'm like, "Oh, hey," like, I gotta see him,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Welcome to the Deep Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Deep. And this is the podcast where we dive deep into different topics, different subjects, and you already know what we talk about. We just talk about anything and everything. Sometimes we talk about super deep topics. Sometimes we talk about whatever we want to talk about. But again, man, my name is Starr. I'm your host today for this podcast. And we're going to get it going today. We got a special guest in the building, and it's the one, the only, the infamous, most famous Twitch streamer, awesome mother out there in the whole wide world, Miss Kaleo Hettle in the building. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. Hey,
How
I'm
are you?
glad. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm glad that we are doing this episode today. We're gonna dive deep into super deep topics. And
Yeah.
it's gonna be. I feel like it might be a little spicy. Will it? I don't know. Maybe.
It might be a little spicy, maybe on the, side of a little emotional at some points, I feel like, with some of the topics that are here.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like some of the topics that we talk about, we're gonna have kind of the same mindset, right? And maybe we'll disagree on some stuff. I don't know, but we've known each other for so long. We're probably on the same page on most of things, right?
Most things, yeah, I'd say
Most
so.
things. But ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna get into some pretty deep topics. Yeah, we're gonna touch up on mental health, feeding off of the last episode. So if you guys hadn't watched the last episode, the link is down below. Go check out the last episode and previous episodes. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below any of your thoughts, any suggestions, whatever you guys want us to talk about. If you guys are on Spotify, go ahead and review the video. Give us, some of your thoughts. There's some questions you guys can answer, but go ahead and follow. And yeah, let's, share it, check it out, whatever. Let me know. If you don't watch it, it is all good in the neighborhood, right? But the topics we want to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about mental health. And then we're also going to talk about being an islander away from the islands. So in other words, having that islander blood, whatever culture it is in the Pacific Ocean, growing up or being raised or being born and raised in somewhere totally different, like United States or a different country, just not in your native culture's island, if that makes sense. So we'll get into a little bit of that, and we are going to have some fun. So let's start off with a little bit of what we started last week, the question roulette. And I am going to ask Kaleo a bunch of questions in under 1 minute. Last week, I gave Kayla too much time with 2 minutes, but Kaleo, we're going to ask her 10 questions in under 1 minute. She's going to answer super quick, super fast. And, something might not come out right, but it's going to be what it is going to be, right?
It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
But are you ready?
Yeah, yes.
I am going to start the timer of 1 minute after I ask the very first question. So it's kind of like Family Feud, Fast Money.
Oh, okay.
All right. Here we go. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Adventurous? Rock climbing.
Do you prefer sweet or savory breakfast foods?
Savory.
If you could be any fictional character for a day, who would it be?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
You can
I have to
pass?
pass on that
Pass.
one.
What's your favorite what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip mint.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Fiji.
Fiji,
No,
nice.
Greece. Greece. Oh, Greece.
Greece.
Changed my mind.
What's your
Greece.
favorite board game?
Believe it or not, Monopoly.
Nice. If you could switch lives with anyone for a day, who would it be?
My daughter.
Interesting. What's your favorite type of weather?
Like springtime weather where it's not too hot but not too cold, you know?
Got you. If you could have any job in the world, what would it be?
Oh man. Probably an artist.
Artist, cool. What kind of artist? Like a painter or singer, songwriter?
I think I'd probably do singing.
Nice, nice. All right. That was the last question. Timer was up like 5 seconds ago,
I
but I left it.
5 seconds.
I left it, and also you didn't answer one question, but we can go back to that question, see if you kind of like have any ideas. Like if you could be any fictional character for the day, who would it be?
I really don't know on that one. There's just so many that I could possibly choose from. I don't think I could choose just one.
Right. I mean, you're not wrong. I would probably go with like somebody that's like my hero. You know what I mean? Like your childhood hero. Because wait, fictional, right? Because nonfiction is real, and the fictional is fake, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Okay. So yeah, I would go with like my hero. I would probably either choose like Wolverine, the Flash, or Superman. Like go experience like having those superpowers as that fictional character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
So I
I
probably
don't know. I guess for me, it's one of those like I would prefer it to be a female, but there's so many that are just lacking certain things. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
you
I don't
got
know. Is that weird?
you got an example of a female fictional character that's lacking in certain things.
Well, I mean, so like if you take like Wonder Woman for example, right? For example, like that. I mean, great character, but like still is an individual that always just kind of ends up just like pushing everybody away.
I could see that, but I feel like that's a common thing with a lot of these heroes or people with superpowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it's like
you're
they
not
they
wrong.
learn they learn most times the hard way that the people that's closest to them or the people that they care about the most is the most in danger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it kind of makes sense.
yeah.
So maybe I don't want to be a superhero.
That's what I'm like. I don't know. I don't know.
uh, well, well. There's that. The question roulette. Let us know down below what fictional character you guys would want to be for a day. So I would like to see your guys' answers. If not, then it's okay. But we're gonna move on, man. So we got Kaleo Hettle in the building here, and she is where are you currently residing again? In
I'm
or-
in Oregon.
so you're in Oregon, and like I said before, we've known each other for a little bit, and I do know that she is of Hawaiian descent.
Yep.
So before we get into all of that, Islander away from the islands, like Kaleo, like tell us a little bit about yourself, real quick. If what do you do? You got a family, or whatever you want to say.
So I obviously live in Oregon. I am a mother of two. I have a daughter and a son. My kids couldn't be any more opposite from each other, and it makes life very interesting. I have for the past 16 years done property management. I do specialize in low income affordable housing. So I deal with a lot of different walks of life, which is so amazing. Good and the bad that come with that. I went to school for business management and marketing, specifically sports marketing, and minored in psychology because the human brain just fuck- fascinates me. Fascinates me. I almost said bad words. I was trying to like avoid it. But psychology has always been something that I've been fascinated with and how we function as human beings. It's just a little bit about me.
No, we I find that every time that we talk or every time that we engage in conversations or whatever, I find new things that I learn about you that is very similar to me. Where
Yeah.
like the whole psychology thing that you just mentioned and the business management. Like obviously I knew that you were a business management major, but I didn't know that it was specific in the sports field. And something with that, like for me, I am in business management right now, but it's not in a sports field. I almost did that specific field. So that's crazy. As I was doing more research and whatever, like I didn't want to, like when I was choosing my major, when I was going to school, right? I didn't want to like niche it down too much to where like I didn't
Yeah.
have a broader, I guess, opportunity to do kind of pick and choose what I wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, I have like a tiny bit of regret because I still kind of want to go in the sports field, but even with a similar, degree, I could still kind of pursue that same direction anyway.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't put you in just a little box if you do,
Right.
like, more of a general. I did general and
Okay.
then went into more specific of sports because I loved it.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. And like, I think that's an issue when students like don't do too much of their research. They kind of just get like this broad term of the main studies of field, and then they get stuck and like maybe because in your early 20s, right after you get out of high school, right, like you can agree or disagree, you don't really know exactly what you want. You have those handful of people that, find their actual passion super early on. But in that time frame, like, some people can say like high school, you kind of develop, passions or whatever, but it doesn't like fully develop until you're like mid 20s, if you're lucky, but late 20s.
Some people not even till their 30s
Right.
to 40s.
Right.
I mean, some
Exactly.
of the most famous people, like actors and actresses, didn't start until their 30s or 40s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong with that.
Morgan Freeman, for example, like, can't put an age stamp on it.
No, no, for sure. And like to go back with what I was saying was they think that something is their passion and they pursue it, which is good, pursue that, but they don't do too much research on the specific study at the universities or college, whatever school you go to, and then they're stuck. And so like later on in life, they may want to do something else, but now they got to go back to school to get that major for whatever that new career is. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it's kind of like
yeah.
a little bit of waste of money or whatever. So I guess it's kind of it's tough, but these young kids they just gotta understand that like you gotta really do your research in whatever you do, and it doesn't have to be with school. It could just be with anything. Do your research, and that's like the whole moral of the story. Just make sure you know exactly what routes that you can take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From whatever you
Educate
decide.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah, basically. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to our very first topic. This touches home to both of us. We are Islanders, and this touches on a lot of you listeners. I know a lot of you guys are Islanders and or from the islands or have a similar background in culture, and you know, you guys probably experienced this in your guys' walk of life, I guess you could say. So the title is being an islander away from home or being an islander raised away from your actual home island. And i feel like I feel like this is a big issue because I'll talk on my Samoan culture. And if you're Samoan and you guys take offense to this, I'm sorry, it happens. But there is native Samoans from American Samoa and Western Samoa that bash on other Samoans who weren't raised in that particular island just because they weren't raised there. So for me, example, I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I was kind of like raised in a mixture of the Samoan and the Hawaiian culture because obviously that's the Hawaiian Islands, right? And there was obviously with the whole United States now, English is the first language, and so that's what we got to learn, and all the blah blah blah. And I guess I never had the full opportunity to learn my native tongue. And my mother and my father, they always tell me that they regret, not teaching me and my siblings when whenever there was like free time at home or whatever. It just didn't, they just weren't able to come around it. And that's not the fault of my parents, that's not the fault of me, that's not the fault of my
Yeah.
siblings or whatever. And what I feel like some of these native Samoans from Samoa, they don't understand that. They just they have that one mindset to where like, oh, because you're Samoan, you're supposed to know it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody can or has the opportunity to just know or grow up in the actual culture. So you can't
Yeah.
fault that person. And some of these people, they just like being bullies about it, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
we already, like, for me, and I'll let you talk in a second, my bad. But
No, you're good.
for me, I already feel bad because I am so proud to be Samoan. This is my culture, this is my blood, this is where my heritage came from, my grandparents, my ancestors, all that shebang, right? And I want to be so connected to the culture that I already feel bad that I don't speak it fluently. So why you gotta keep knocking me down while I'm already down trying to get up? Let me turn this on you now. So I know you're Hawaiian descent and you were born and raised in the mainland. You lived in Hawaii for a little bit and then moved back to the mainland. Like, have you experienced anything like that, or have you seen it, through other, cousins or family members or friends?
Family members and friends, not particularly, but going back over to the islands, yeah, I've definitely experienced it. I mean, not everyone looks at me and is like, "Oh," instantly like, "Oh, she's Hawaiian for sure," like, not not everybody thinks that, especially going over to the islands, because like, I mean, I'm not as dark as most Hawaiians are, because you're on the island, you're on the rock, you're in the sun, you're out in the elements, and I live in Oregon, the rainiest part of Oregon, so there's no sun, so I look different, and because of that, I've gotten shade, I guess you could say, going over there and not looking like everybody else, and then that makes me feel like, "Oh, well, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here right now, like, I'm not really welcomed," and stuff like that, but I know I am.
Right.
Because, like, how I was raised within the culture was everyone is family, everyone is ohana, it's, part of the it's that love, so
Yeah.
I never really understood that, but there are certain areas that I have experienced that. For my family, no. Have I seen them treat other people like that? Yes. But once they find out, like, "Oh my god, hey,"
Yeah.
"Hey, cousin," or sis and whatever, so
You know what the
it's
problem
hard.
is? Yeah, you know what the problem is? I know for a fact that because us islanders, no matter what culture it is in the ocean, we all have a distinct look. We all have a unique look, and regardless of skin color, if we're lighter or darker, I could tell when somebody's an islander or not. So for them to have some of those times where they're saying that, oh, she doesn't look like an islander, or he doesn't look like an islander, like, bro, grow up, bro. Now you're just being an asshole at that point. Like,
Yeah.
when we first met, I already knew you were some type of islander. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I could just tell. I honestly could just tell, because we know our peoples. You know what I'm saying? So
You're not wrong.
yeah. So I feel like those people that done that to you, or if you've seen it happen, like, you got to be a nicer person. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you and I were talking not too long ago, I was asked to join a group. I didn't know how to feel about it at first because I was like, "Man, I feel so, like, removed, like I don't necessarily belong because they all are already so, like, tight together."
Hmm.
And you're like, "What? Why?" And I was just like, "Well, I don't know. I feel like it's just, like, I'm so withdrawn from being in it like they were, because either a lot of them are still over there, or they've just so enveloped by other whole like, islanders of in general, that I'm not. I'm in a predominantly Caucasian area, so
Yeah.
it's just like it's a way different feel here than being in the actual thick of our each individual cultures.
Right.
So, I don't know, I feel like I've been so far removed from it sometimes that I forget that it is so welcoming and loving
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. No, I think you hit it right on the nose. It's just you've been away from it for so long.
Yeah,
Your lifestyle, you adjust to your new lifestyle.
yeah,
And I think that kind of plays into part where we lose our accent or we lose our
Yeah.
actual we lose our actual language. I've known different Samoans that was born and raised in Samoa, speak is super fluent, and they got the proper language down, they got the slang language down, they got like everything, and then they live in the mainland or the States or whatever other country, and they lose it. They still understand it, but it's like hard for them to like speak it because they have to think about it again. Oh, what was this again? What was that? Because like you said, just been so withdrawn from it for so long. But
Yeah.
I feel like, one thing, at least for my wife, what she does is she literally calls home every day. And I know not everybody is not as close to their own families like that, or some family dynamics is kind of different with others, but
Yep.
just a simple call, to hear it, or you know what I mean, maybe once a week, just hear the language, and it stays fresh in your mind that,
Yeah.
something like that, something simple can help, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I'm horrible at that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm horrible with that. And most of the family that I do get to speak to on a regular basis are over here on the mainland because they wanted to get off the rock. So it's I've got, my main, which is my Auntie Lani and my Uncle Kamai, they're over there. And when we talk, I fall right back into it. It never left. Here, I know I have to articulate and I need to make sure that I'm very clear and understood. Because if you start throwing that slang in there, nope, nobody understands you. They just look at you like you're weird.
Right, right.
So,
It kind of reminds me of, you know, going to school in Hawaii, and you're taking an English class, and the teacher is teaching you in our slang language, and because we all understand each other, but then the moment we have to put those words on paper, we can't write it down like that. It has to be
mhm.
proper, it has to be, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like every culture is like that, and everyone that has, like, the different languages, like, that's exactly how it is. They're it's easier to speak it and be a part of it than actually be able to write it down on paper
yeah.
when you're learning it.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a big challenge. And do you have any advice for those that are in like our type of situation where, we're islanders but we were born and raised in the mainland? I mean, I wasn't like I
I
wasn't, but I've been living in the mainland for a little bit now, so I kind of feel that effect going on. But yeah, I don't know, anything that you try to do to, try to keep your culture strong within yourself, or even something as in like teaching your kids a few Hawaiian words that you remember from time to time, like, I think that would help, right?
I do. I teach my kids, things here and there, and I mean, my daughter has a full Hawaiian name. My son has a partial Hawaiian name, but she has a full Hawaiian name. So that kind of sparks conversations and stuff like that of like, well, mommy, what does that mean as far as my name goes? Oh, okay, let me tell you. And then, of course, talking story. Everybody talks story. Okay. So like you go into all of these, when my tutu and all this, like my daughter loves hearing about all that. So I try to keep that side alive. And lately, I've been trying to do my best to reach out and talk to other islanders like you, Star, and remembering that I'm not alone and that I should be free to open up, especially when I feel that connection with somebody. Like, never be afraid to say hi, especially like, if you're just like, oh, how's your day? I remember to do that, and especially, like, I see somebody wearing something Hawaiian, I'm like, "Oh, hey," or, like, some kinda, like, Polynesian or Islander type thing. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, "Oh, hey," that like, spark up a conversation, or, like, I'm driving by a car and I see a bumper sticker or a decal, and I'm like, "Oh, hey," like, I gotta see if
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I recommend people don't just fall away from it. Just keep trying, because our cultures are beautiful,
No, yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, for sure. And just a little advice, from me, and what we do here in our house. Like, yeah, we're gonna most likely, and it's hard for me to say this, but most likely we're not gonna move back to Hawaii, and because of how expensive it is, and that's a totally another
Mhm.
subject. It's we could talk days about that, and
Please.
like it's crazy. Just know you guys already know it's super expensive, but what we do is something small. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, my wife speaks fluent, but she doesn't speak it fluent all the time, or rarely she does. Only when she talks to her mom and stuff like that. But what we do is we kind of decorate our house with how it was back home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have Samoan material framed up. I have back here, I have some of the things that us Samoan cultures have. Like I have the Samoan staff, and like so many things that like around our house is just that little reminder. Not saying that I need a reminder that I'm Samoan, but just a little reminder of kind of remember some of why or what my culture does, why we do certain things, what our culture really means to us. And, just like every other islander culture in the Pacific Ocean, family is everything. And so just having,
Everything.
yeah, exactly. I don't think I know there's other cultures out there that kind of do the same thing, but if
Yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
go if you go to an islander house, there is family pictures everywhere of not just their immediate family, the whole third cousins, fourth cousins, fifth cousins,
Yeah.
aunties, like all like so many generations down. Like over here, we have a whole wall of just us and our immediate families, parents and siblings, and then we
Mhm.
have a whole another like hallway of all of our cousins, all of our nieces, uncles, aunties, everybody. And it's just those little moments where I'm walking to my room and I kind of catch my auntie's or uncle's face or my cousin's face, and I just look and I kind of like remember everything. And so it keeps me, I guess, fresh in my culture and how everything was and how everything or still is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, on my stream, I always ask like, "What's your highlight every day?" And something small like that, remembering some small details about something, kind of just, I don't know, it makes you feel good. Like for me, it
Yeah.
does, right?
I love that you say the highlight of your day. I just say what was the best part of your day. What made you smile today?
Yeah, talking about that and talking about the issues that us islanders deal with when we weren't raised in the islands. It kind of like ties into like the mental health and the mental state
Absolutely
of
does.
things, and I think it ties really well into it because one thing I know I've tried to transition that, but we're moving on to mental health, guys. But one thing with us islanders, we are so family oriented, we're so group or community oriented that whatever we do in life, right, we do it for our peoples, we do it for our family, our parents, our siblings, our us, my wife,
Yep.
your spouse, or whatever, right? That we feel like we're still a part of our culture, we're still a part of our ancestors. It whatever everything that we do nowadays, it connects us back to our history, right? And for those that go through, troubling times where another one of your peoples is bashing you or is telling you you're not a real Samoan, you're not a real Hawaiian, like that hurts big time. And then you
Yeah.
start questioning yourself. And I know you can relate because you told me a little bit about it. You start thinking that, like, I don't belong anymore.
Yeah.
And now, if you're not an islander, then what are you? You look like an islander, but this other person that's just like me says I'm not an islander. So what am I? And it kind of messes with you, right?
Oh yeah.
It really sucks. I know I mentioned that you said that before, but you wanna kind of speak a little bit more on that?
As far as feeling like not belonging,
Yeah, yeah,
I haven't been back for a long time because of many reasons. Financial, but definitely personal. And a lot of it does come from not feeling like I fit in anymore. I'm sorry, I might get a little emotional. Ever since my tutu passed away, it was difficult to feel like I belonged because she was the one person that always was like, "You remember who you are." Always, always was like, "You remember who you are, baby. You are Hawaiian, you are beautiful," right? So, it's like losing a part of your faith in your I know that sounds horrible as because it's like religious type thing, but it is. It's like a faith based in your being as like Hawaiian, because like so much goes into just being who you are. And then part of our culture is just so spiritual, right? So spiritual. So when I lost her, it was like a moment of, man, where am I supposed to be now?
Hmm.
She always welcomed me when even others didn't, because I didn't look like everybody else when I go, you know? But she was always there. I mean, obviously, my family was amazing, but, like and then just being here, it's depressing. It's depressing thinking that you don't belong
To your own people.
to your own people, you
Exactly.
know? And it sucks. God, it sucks, but I'm learning to move past that and actually embrace the part of me that is that culture and teach it to my kids, which is the biggest thing. So that way it can continue on. Because my kids, you look at my kids, they do not well, my daughter looks Hawaiian, but my son does not. Not at all.
It looks like
At
dad.
all. He looks like his dad, absolutely. But my daughter looks exactly like me. So it's one of those things of growing up too with my siblings. We had 2 siblings that looked absolutely nothing like they were Hawaiian at all, and then 3 of us that were. So, because we had the darker complexion, the more Hawaiian features and things like that, and so we always seemed to fit in just a little bit more than they did, so the other siblings were always like, "Well, I'm Hawaiian too. You got blonde hair and blue eyes, you're not Hawaiian." Like, "But yes, I am." Like, it's in my DNA, it's my blood, it's my culture, I grew up in it, it is me. So,
Yeah.
I've seen it from my side and then seeing it happen to my siblings.
Right.
So, it's hard.
I can't wrap my head around it. I really don't understand why people want to like put a label on your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When they don't know nothing. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
learned.
Yeah, it is learned. And, there's a lot of things that are, can relate to something being learned.
Yes.
Yes. But I really just, I understand that it is learned, but I still don't understand it. Like, as they get older, they start realizing that like not everything that they know is gonna always be right. And just because somebody that was raised in the mainland, that doesn't take away from their actual blood that's flowing through their veins. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Just
yeah,
because somebody doesn't know how to speak the language, that doesn't mean it changed the blood in them.
right.
So why are you bashing these people for not knowing the language or not practicing some of the cultures? I mean, I get it. I understand if some people like really like say that, oh no, I know my mom was Hawaiian and I got a little bit in me, but I don't want nothing to do with that. Okay, I understand there's some people like that, but the ones who did nothing to you,
Yeah,
and trying to portray the culture, trying to speak the language, and a great example is The Rock. The Rock is only half Samoan, and he tries to speak the language when he can of the little that his mother taught him, and people are bashing him for it, saying that like, "Ha, look at him, he doesn't speak it properly. Ha, he sounds so stupid." Like, bro, you sound stupid because you're downing your own people.
right? You're downing your own people and you're downing somebody that's actually giving a shit about trying.
Yeah, exactly. He could not even try. He could not even acknowledge. He could just say I'm full black.
Right? He could.
But he is probably the biggest for like the past like however many years that
Long
is
time.
representing for the Samoan culture, and not even just for the Samoan culture, for the whole Islander culture.
Islander culture, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And even with all of this bashing that's going on, he still does it because he knows that he is a proud Samoan.
Yep.
He knows that he still has the blood. Even though he knows that he's not saying something right, he goes, I'm pretty sure he goes and he, tries to find or learn the right way to do it. And he'll come back and, because, oh man, remember when he did the haka in the Fast and Furious movie?
Yes.
My God. Okay, to be honest, I kind of I kind of giggled, but that was just because I was in the movies in the moment, but then I stopped because I was like watching him do the haka on the biggest screen of the world made me so proud that now the whole world can see that this is what we are. After that little negative moment that I little had, but that's just me being stupid, and I admit I was being stupid by giggling at first because he pronounced the word. It sounded weird. Like that was the reason why I giggled. It just sounded weird, and then my actual proudness of being Samoan came out and said, "Dang, I'm really proud that this is actually happening." So what some of these people that don't realize that it really affects us or whoever you're telling that they're not Samoan or not Hawaiian or not Fijian, whatever culture it is, it really hurts them.
It affects your mental health so much.
What's up, all you podcast lovers? I just want to take a break and tell you guys a little bit about Rootz Global Entertainment. These guys are all about the streaming, gaming, and creating some content, awesome content that'll keep you entertained for hours on end. With roots in Hawaii, they've got a unique perspective on the world of entertainment that's sure to keep you engaged. And if you're looking for more ways to keep up with their latest releases, their latest posts, or whatever it may be, check out their website at rootsglobalentertainment.com. Whether you're into gaming, streaming, or just love content, great content, Rootz Global Entertainment has got you covered. So thank you guys for listening in, and let's get back to the podcast. Yeah, no,
So
like
much.
like you brought up depression. Like depression is the act of feeling lonely, feeling like you're lost, and I'm sure you can agree because you just said that you felt lost whenever you went home because you felt like you weren't a part of them anymore, and
Yep.
it's we got to do better. Basically, we just got to do better and looking out for our peoples, and just like I think I mentioned in the my last episode, we got to look after our humanity because that's
Absolutely.
exactly right. So
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal.
what is we're talking about mental health. Like I want to know what is your definition of mental health?
So, mental health to me is the awareness of one's being. Literally the ability to understand that you are here and these are the things that are transpiring. This is how you are dealing with it. This is how you are aware of you. Because there's a difference between mental health and mental illness.
Right,
And it's literally being aware of your own being
right, right.
for me.
What are some of the most common? We don't have to name them all, but what's some of the most common mental illnesses?
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, schizophrenia.
I feel like a lot of people overuse, and I don't know. I'm not trying to say that
Let it
it's
out,
not. Yeah,
Stupa.
I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing, but I just feel like it's coming to a point where I feel like a lot of people are claiming anxiety and they're kind of using that as a crutch to, I don't know, benefit something or whatever, but what people don't realize that it's a real thing. You know what I
It's
mean?
very real thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It can be very crippling.
yeah, and I think because like the awareness of your mental health and different mental illnesses, that a lot of people are actually acknowledging it and coming out and accepting that this is happening and doing something about it, which is good. But I feel like some people kind of overdo it to kind of like get attention, especially with like the social media stuff, like
Yeah, I can see
posting.
that.
And I feel like it's like that's not the right way to attack that illness. You know what I'm saying? Like doing
Yeah,
something
oh, no.
for attention, you know. I mean, yeah, I get it. You could kind of do some stuff for attention just to kind of get somebody to reach out. But like if you
Yeah.
keep doing
Yeah.
it over and over and over and using that, and that's what I meant by using it as a crutch to benefit
Yeah.
them, you know what I'm saying? In that type of way. But
Yeah.
PTSD, let me touch up on that for a little bit. What is your definition of the PTSD?
there's different severities of PTSD, right? So obviously, the one that a lot of people commonly refer PTSD to is somebody that's been in combat and has had to deal with the harshness that is violence, and that comes, with our military. Like, a lot of people think of that, but PTSD can be so many different things. It can come from your childhood, from a very traumatizing event, a car crash that you were in that really messed you up, and somebody that you were with, somebody could have passed away with you in the car, things like that. There's so many intricacies to PTSD. It's it's one of those broad spectrums, I feel like. That's actually what got me into psychology was after 9/11. I went into child trauma with PTSD.
That's
So that's
tough.
what it's very tough, very, very tough because I knew somebody that lost both of their parents. And so I was very into it as far as like, how do I help? How do I let this child know that they're not alone, that what they went through and experienced was terrifying, and that they're going to be just fine, but they need to go through each process, and that process is gonna have to be repeated over and over and over again because it's gonna come back at a time where you don't realize it's gonna come back. Something
Uh,
can trigger you.
Especially at a child, and no matter if you're an 18-year-old child or 17-year-old, because 18-year adult, right? Especially at a child, even at an older child age or younger child age, like you said, you got to keep repeating or repetition, or keep teaching them, because they're not processing it as fast as adults would be able to process
Right.
information, right? And and I think it could hit them at any moment to where, like, okay, I understand what he's saying, and then a couple days later, it just hits them again. Like, you know what I mean? They go right back to that state. Like, it's like a boomerang. You know what I mean? You fly them
Yeah.
away is good, and then come right back to it super fast. I think Ken, one of my last previous guests on the show, he was talking about, because he's a counselor, school counselor,
Yeah.
and first he started into a regular, I guess, mental health facility. They put him with the younger kids, like, I think, like, no older than like 6 years old or 7 years old, and he said that he couldn't do it. He couldn't, because all the traumas that the kids would be coming, telling their stories or whatever that he was finding out. And like you said, it's not just trauma over the military, killing people or seeing people getting killed, but it's any traumatic event. And for him to hear these kids coming in with abusive, verbal abusive, sexual harassment, all that stuff, he just, our Islander side, he said, in him, like, started kicking up, and he wanted to go beat somebody up. Like, that's how bad
Oh,
it got.
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
So it is definitely tough, man. And as tough as it is, for kids to be going through traumatic events and all that stuff, like, and like I said, adults are able to process it, a little bit quicker, and be able to kind of, I guess, defend themselves within themselves to kind of push through any of these situations. Like, do you think it's still tough for adults? Like, I feel
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, and I feel like, especially for men, and I'm not saying that female don't go through this either, but a lot of times men, we're the traditional men, we're supposed to provide, protect, like I said, provide for the family and be the strong one and all that stuff. And so a lot of men feel like they have to, like, dig these feelings deep down and pretend it's not there, and then eventually starts building up, and then they just freaking
Yeah.
explode. So,
And then it's a whole episode.
whole episode, and then
Yeah.
eventually they start getting abusive, or some, that anger or that hurt has to go somewhere. And sad to say that, most cases did not. The man starts being abusive to the spouse or the kids or to themselves or to the coworker, whatever it is, and it sucks. So, am I wrong? that like
No, you're not
adults?
wrong.
Well, because then I did say that children may have a little bit worse because
So I look at it as adults we we still have issues dealing with PTSD. So PTSD isn't something that like we've been able to know a lot about until like, what, last 20 years it's gotten super deep into PTSD and how to help individuals with it. Roughly 20 years, right?
right.
So anybody that's an adult, depending on where they're at, they could be up shit creek without a paddle and having more of a difficult time dealing with it because we didn't have the proper tools at a younger age to be able to deal with the traumas. Because no matter what, all of us have dealt with traumas in our life, whether they have been extremely horrible or just like, you know, oh my gosh, I broke my foot one time. I mean, that's not amazing, but like, that's still
Still a
traumatic.
trauma. Yeah, still a trauma.
Right, like, depending on how it happened, it could be a traumatic experience. So, it just like, if it happened at a younger age, now you're gonna be able to go through life knowing how to deal with that particular kind of trauma, that PTSD, whereas you never know how to deal with, seeing somebody killed in front of you or you
Yeah.
having to, take somebody's life and that's horrible. That's something that you have to deal with for the rest of your life as an adult. That's not something that you learn how to take care of
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
okay, you might
kind of
have to
like
kill a spider, but that's different. Fuck a
yeah.
spider.
Yeah. So is it kind of so with the adults, it's kind of like to like put in like simplest terms that I could think of. It's kind of like getting a cut in her arm and it's it scars up and it's a scar forever. You know what I mean? Not saying that the little kids or whatever, they get their scars when they're young or whatever, but it's able to have a longer amount of time to heal more properly to where like we're adults, we don't have as much time to heal that scar. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to like put into simple terms, you know what I mean? So
PTSD is just one of those intense ones where not everybody understands it, and that's okay, just
yeah,
as long as we try to work through it.
yeah, it sucks, man. But so staying on the topic of adults and mental illnesses and stuff like that, going into the work life, mental health or mental illnesses like really affects their work life and then eventually affects their home life because like something's got to give, right? Something's got to give when so much negative thing is happening or so much negative thing is piling up and there's only so much that your body can consume, your emotions can consume if you're not talking to somebody or seeing a therapist or whatever, like some of the signs that people would notice especially at work is like you're reducing productivity, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're not the same person as when we hired you. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Lack of drive,
Like a drive and
showing up later, not on time,
is yeah, it could be like the smallest things, right?
inability to focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It
come in with your hair not fixed, like especially for females, they come in like nothing and like
imagine.
something's up when their hair is not fixed or you know what I mean, something's not on, you know what I mean?
Or, "Oh my god, Kaleo, you didn't do your eyebrows today. What's wrong?"
Yeah.
Like, I get that all the time. They're like, "Are you okay? Your eyebrows aren't done." I'm like, "Damn it."
Maybe I just wanted to not do it
I wanna
today.
be I wanted to be less eyebrowy
Right,
today.
right. But But yeah, it's something as small as that too, right? Some because of the awareness of all of this going on, like people are picking up on smaller things that would go unnoticed back then. You know what I mean? Like what we were
Yeah.
saying about like the hair's not done, eyebrows not on, you're late, or your hygiene's not up to par.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, granted, a lot of times, sometimes we wake up late or whatever, and we know we rush, but if it's a consistent thing like,
Yeah.
you don't notice. Like you're a boss at your job. Like, have you,
Yep.
noticed anything when, have you had situations like that?
I have had situations like that with other employees and coworkers, but I mean, I myself have gone through that. Like, I literally had to stop myself and was like, "Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to have a conversation with my boss." Like, because I might be the boss of where I'm at, but, like, I obviously have people above me, so it was like, I had that one-on-one and was like, "Yo, this is what's going on with me right now." And I didn't realize it until all this stacked up on top of me, and now I feel 10 times more stressed out because of it. And thankfully, my employer is amazing and was like, "Okay, well, this is what do you wanna do? What can we do to help you?" And it took a lot of kicking and screaming to get that, don't get me wrong.
I was gonna say,
But once I was, like, fully open, was like, "I am not okay." That's when they were like, "Okay, how can we help? What can we do?" And I laid it all out on the table, and I was like, "This is what I need, otherwise I can't be here anymore. I can't do this. This is just too much. It is too stressful. It's seeping into my family,
yeah,
and that is not okay."
yeah, like,
So, it you know,
yeah,
it's hard because
yeah,
not all employers help with that.
yeah, exactly. I was just gonna ask you about that. Like, it's the yes, the awareness has gotten up, but it's not. I feel like it's still not to the point where it should be.
It's not, because a lot of people still are like, "Oh, well, that's personal. This is professional."
Yeah,
Okay, but I can't be professional if you don't help me with this personal issue.
yeah,
And this
exactly.
personal issue is going to affect you professionally, so we need to take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. We're not. People are not freaking robots. We're freaking human beings. We got feelings, and we got feelings and emotions that drive us to want to be successful or to want to be, stay
Yeah.
positive and all that stuff, right? It's,
Yeah.
we don't have a button to where like, all right, turn that off.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, like, if we're in a heated discussion, like, if I'm at work, right, I have the ability to be like, "Okay, this is getting extremely intense. My emotions now need to be turned off."
Yeah,
And
no,
I can flip that switch and I can turn those emotions off, but as soon as the high intensity situation is done, I melt. And
yeah,
I'm just I might be a ball of just blubbering tears and everything else,
right.
or I am just completely just numb,
Do you
and
think
being numb's not okay.
do you think so how like, when we apply for jobs, we the regular application, you put your name, all that stuff, information, and then we go on like the race, and then you go on to like the job history, the education, all that stuff. Do you think there should be a section where we would put like if you were diagnosed with a mental illness? I feel like there's gonna be a lot of backlash, but do you think that would help? That way, like maybe the company could kind of like, yes, they qualify for all of this, and they're perfect for the fit of the job, but at least now we know that I don't want to say baggage, but it is baggage is coming with them, and they can figure out the best way to make sure both sides or both parties are successful. Do you think that would help or not?
I think right now that would be more damaging to an actual applicant for a potential job than help them.
Right.
Because right now, not enough people are actually educated in the difference between mental health and mental illness
Yeah.
to understand that there are ways to help and control mental illnesses compared to mental health, where, people can be mental health, mental health, but don't understand the mental illness side. So if you go in there and you put in there that you're schizophrenic, but you don't understand what that schizophrenia actually is as an employer, you're automatically going to be like, "Oh, ding 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 ding, that's a red flag for me."
Yeah.
They're so qualified, but oh man, I don't want to deal with that schizophrenia.
Yeah.
That could cause prejudgments. And let's be honest, even though as an employer it's supposed to be always equal opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Employers still, I don't care who you are, employers still look at those little things.
not even with mental health, it still goes on. I mean, with mental illness, is
Yeah.
it still goes on with race, genders.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, oh, they said that they was Hispanic or Native American. Maybe, like, not saying everybody does that, but that still happens, right? And
Yeah.
so, but they have it on there now, and there's no like,
Yeah.
you can't discriminate anymore. So, like, I feel like that could be like the stepping stone for the mental illness side, because yeah, this person might have mental illness or whatever, but it can be worked on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every person, no matter what they have, or even if they're like they have nothing, they still can be worked on to be a better worker or coworker or whatever they want to be. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah, it is.
I think
I do kind of
yeah.
agree though. I do kind of agree that it might be damaging, and it might, make it a little worse. But I feel like to get to where you want to be, you got to go through the worst times.
You're not wrong as far as that goes. I think they're just in that aspect, there just needs to be a little bit more education on a mass scale rather than, couple here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Oh, for
'cause
sure.
and I mean, with a mental illness, that's where it comes into play with reasonable accommodations for employment. Being like, "Okay, I have this mental illness that could affect my work, but I want you to know that all of these things are I'm going to the best of my ability have that be avoided, but in order to help avoid that, I need you as my employer to do A, B, C to help me avoid that being an issue."
Right. I feel like with the military people that are, they become veterans after they serve their time and all that stuff, and I feel like that's just a stigma that or a stereotype that like employers would already have. Like if they see this applicant and this guy is a veteran, even if there's no section that to put down your mental illnesses, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of employers out there that are assuming that this military member has some type of mental illness because of the stereotype of what we do go through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not the
Yeah.
stereotype, but what we actually go through. So,
Yeah.
I guess in a way we kind of already doing that. You know what I mean? But not like official, where like yeah, dot on paper, right?
Yeah. I mean, like for me, it's with what I do, since I do low income affordable housing, right? I do have paperwork that straight up asks them if they have some kind of disability, whether it be physical or mental, and they can choose to answer it and they can choose not to. So I do have it in housing paperwork.
I mean, that makes sense because what your particular job is doing. So, but I mean, I feel like eventually it might even be
I
that
think
way.
eventually
Yeah,
it'll probably end up on employment paperwork eventually. I think right now, maybe not. We're
yeah,
still diving deep into everyone being aware of mental health and mental illnesses.
yeah. It definitely causes a lot of issues in your workplace, and especially with like you mentioned before, the relationships with your bosses, your peers, your coworkers, or your subordinates. Like if you're a boss and something happens to you and you get diagnosed with something and you try to hide it, you know what I mean, you're only making it worse for everybody. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you're kind of,
Especially yourself.
yeah, especially yourself, your emotions are degrading slowly. Then all the, like I was saying earlier, the negatives start piling up, and then you just blow up and treat everybody like crap, and then nobody wants to work with you, and then your company goes down, and then you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
nobody, it's a lose lose. And speaking on relationships, like how much of an effect it is for your home life, because I feel like that is a
Oof.
lot tougher than the effects that it has on your work life.
It's definitely tough. I can definitely tell when my depression and my anxiety, because I've dealt with depression, anxiety my entire life. I grew up in a family where they didn't believe in depression, especially my father. It wasn't a real thing. You chose to be happy or you chose to be sad. And it was one of those things where it's like, I choose to be happy, but chemically my body will refuse that.
Yeah.
And so I had to deal with that my whole life, and I can tell when it kicks into high gear, it really affects my kids.
Yeah.
Really affects my kids because they feed off of my energy, and I become shorter with them. I don't interact with them nearly as much. I don't wanna do things for them, and I like, there's times where I don't even want anything to do with them, and that really hurts because then it just spirals you further down, you know? So, it is definitely all about making sure that I have that proper help that I need, and if it's not working, try something else.
Yeah. It definitely sucks, man, that like our islander culture, it's a good and bad thing, for me at least, my perspective on that. When
Yeah.
you're brought up to be this strong person, you're brought up to be the positive mind, or like you said, you choose to be happy, not sad or not mad or angry or whatever. But the more that you don't acknowledge those sad or negative feelings, the more it starts building up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like rain, and a divot in the road. The more that it puddles up, the bigger that pavement is going to keep making a bigger puddle in the pavement.
Yeah.
And then now you got a big ass pothole where it pops the car's tires. And that's really what it is. Like as much as I appreciated being brought up that way, because at an early age, I understood that in order for me to push forward, I got to embrace the strong side. I got to remember the strong side, to the willpower, or the will to keep living, or to keep breathing, or to keep doing whatever that I wanted to do. But we wasn't taught to acknowledge the sad part so that we can process it and understand that, okay, I understand why I'm feeling sad or why I'm feeling angry. You know what I mean? Instead of just putting it aside, not knowing what it is, and then it just jump scares us. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So it does kind of suck. And when you brought up your kids, feel like, the mental illness, whatever type it is, depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever it is, it honestly, it breaks up families if it's not treated right.
It can, because I sometimes, like, what can cause it is it can be genetics, and it can be from life experiences. So, for me to have, like, an episode, right? We'll just call it an episode. I can have my kids experience that, and they sorry, one of them just tried to run in here without clothes on. My god. Okay, so, like, they can experience it, right? And that in turn ends up giving them later on and throughout their life situations that they have to deal with. So it's just this just reoccurring cycle of just bullshit that builds up from generation to generation. So not only can it be genetic, it can be a life experience that you're getting from somebody else that has that mental illness. And guess what? Is now passing it to you from a child's perspective, and now you're having to deal with it.
Right.
So I try very, very hard not to contain it, but to rather make sure that it is something that we discuss and we talk about,
Yeah.
and that they are very aware that it's not just a mommy thing. It can be many people's thing that's going through something. That's why we have to be open and loving and kind to each other. And that's why I love my Hawaiian culture, because that was something I was always raised. So that's what I try to instill in them, because mental illnesses are no joke, and it's really hard to get through those things as an adult or as a child. So to make sure that I'm open and honest is the biggest key with my
Oh
children.
yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's definitely ended relationships for me, like, romantic relationships for
Yeah.
me, for sure.
No, yeah, it's to build upon that, with, kids genetically developing all of these, experiences and all this stuff and inheriting it really, when a parent doesn't treat their mental illness correctly, like let me use a military member for example, and it's just common with other people too. It's not just military, but for example, a military member comes home, from multiple deployments, and he finally gets out, and or he gets medically discharged because of the mental illnesses or whatever injuries he go through. PTSD plays a big part. A lot of times, us military members, and majority of it is guys or men, they wanna. It's like how we were talking about with being raised as like, oh, what is mental illness? What is that? You're not sad, you're not depressed or whatever. You're strong, and so these guys
Yep.
believe that they are stronger, and they don't acknowledge it. And when like I said, it jump scares us when it comes out of nowhere. They don't they don't want to believe that they have it, and so they don't get help, and then it gets worse, and then they either turn to drugs or they turn to alcohol, and then the alcohol
Yep.
and drugs turn to abuse, and then the spouse gets abused, and they're stuck, or the divorce or whatever, something happens,
Or
and then
even just self-harm.
self-harm, exactly. And then when you got kids, they see all of this happening, and then now, because at a young age they seen it every single day or every other day or consistently, it's inherited to them that drinking is okay, being
Yep.
abusive is okay, and eventually makes them have mental illness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it
The
sucks.
whole cycle.
It really is. It really is. And like the whole thing, the whole moral of, if you guys are going to take anything out of this mental illness part of the podcast, you have to suck up your pride and go get help. It don't matter where or who you're getting the help from. You're getting some kind of help that's helping you acknowledge what it is, learning from it, and figuring out how to push through it. You know what I mean? You don't have to kill it right
Acceptance.
away. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
exactly. Acceptance, insight, action, self, healing, and then the meaning.
It's a timely matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
But
it's gonna suck and it's gonna be rewarding. It's everything in between.
it's like with anything in life, when you're trying to change something that's like inherited or genetic, that is passed down or whatever. It's like, what do you call it? I don't know what example to say, but it's like you've been smoking for a long time, smoking cigarettes for a long time, and it's natural in your body now, right? And your body's so used to it that it feels and it believes that you
Yeah.
have to live off of this nicotine or the smoke. And then when you start to, like, when your brain tells you or your heart tells you that, like, oh, we need to
Yeah,
change
when you feel
something.
like you're dependent on it.
Yeah, when you tell yourself you need to change, and then you try to change it, now your body's rejecting it because it's so used to it. And that's
Yeah.
just like mental illness. If you keep letting yourself get depressed or have anxiety all the time without even, trying to get help or whatever, your body gets used to that.
Yeah.
So go get help, man. And I'm an example, and I've told a lot of people, a lot of my friends and family members, finally, told most of my family now that I've had some diagnoses of different mental illnesses. And it wasn't until that I went and seeked help, and I went to therapy, went to two different group therapies, I had a individual session within those group therapies. And at first it felt like a lot, but I actually started listening to some of the things they were teaching, some of the things that was eye opening. And it made me realize that I didn't want any of these negative things in my life, because I saw it affect my wife. I saw it affect my mom or my siblings or my coworkers that was trying to help me. When you're in this little funk, you don't see these things. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when you start opening your eyes a little bit, you start noticing that, like, yeah, it has been affecting me. And that little positive mind opening, you kind of start pushing yourself to, like, all right, let me get out of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the horse blinders.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I
You don't
am,
wanna see all the little snakes on the side of the road that are bothering you.
yeah,
So you have
yeah,
those blinders on.
yeah. So I am a walking testament to, therapy. I did go to the traditional therapy, and it actually really did help. And at first, like I said, I was totally like, didn't think it was going to work, or I was just doing this just to make my wife happy, or, my family happy, but it actually really helped me. So I probably
See, and
wouldn't
for me, it
be,
was the opposite.
it was opposite,
Yeah, therapy did not help me.
but at
It did
least
not
you,
help
but
me.
at least you tried. At least you did
I did,
something.
I tried. I tried and tried other things and my biggest thing that I do for me when I realize I'm getting that bad is I need a moment of being me, you know, actually observing the world and the things around me. I guess in a way you could call it meditation, but not quite meditation. Me just really having that moment of just in my moment.
Right.
So that way I can be like, okay, remember all of these different things. See all of these things. And I'll surround myself with the things that I know that make me smile, make me happy, and make me content. And will meditate. I guess you could say I can't think of any other word for it, but it's not I wouldn't quite call it meditation. It's just that moment of being self-aware. That's why I say mental health to me is that awareness of one's being.
Right.
So I take that moment and I remember my being.
Yeah.
And then I have that breakthrough almost every time I have that real moment to sit down and just be. And I will have that breakthrough of like, "Oh my gosh, this is what is really bothering me right now. This is why I'm having this PTSD moment. That's why I'm having this anxiety moment. Holy cow." And like I'll just bawl uncontrollably. And I don't like crying, even though you've already seen me cry today. I don't like it. I hate it. I was always tied. No, 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 you suck that back in. But oh my god, do you know how much a cry does for you? Holy cow, it releases so many chemicals.
Yeah.
So once I get that, like, even, like, breathing exercises help me, and that releases so much, but, like, just sitting there and talking to somebody, for me, didn't necessarily work. Having people that I can talk to, absolutely, don't get me wrong, having
Right.
somebody to talk to, amazing, but actually having that therapist, that more clinical presentation to it didn't work for me. I have to have something more personal.
Yeah. Everybody is different, right?
Yeah.
And everybody processes things differently, different timing and all that stuff. But I think for me, the group therapy helped me because I learned different things to, like, coping skills and all that stuff, grounding techniques or whatever. Like you said, the breathing part, that's where I
Yeah.
learned that from. And that was like, another thing we have in common. The breathing is what really helped me too.
Yeah.
Because whenever the anger started coming out, my breathing kind of like oppressed it. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
me at least. But the people that was running that group therapy was, I don't know. I kind of assumed that, like, they were gonna be very touchy feely and all that stuff, but they weren't. And so I think that kind of surprised me and kind of made me open my eyes. Like, okay, right, they're not like what I expected. And then
Yeah.
my individual therapist, which was more personable and more like to the point and just me, she was very helpful because it wasn't about it wasn't about what I had. It was about me.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about, you know what, she helped me remember what my core values is. And
Just huge.
yeah, and using and building my treatment around my core values really kind of opened my eyes of what really means to me. You know what I mean? So I actually did care about myself in when I started learning about that. You know what I mean? But like with you, like you said, it's you do appreciate and you like that you have other people like friends or whoever it may be, right? I strive off of that too. And
Yeah.
so I guess for me, I just had the best of all three worlds, individual, group, and having that support system, right?
Yeah.
So I wish it worked for you, but I mean, something was working, you know what I mean? And on top of that,
Yeah.
the good thing was you did go and try, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And sometimes it's just a matter of not finding the right one,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? I went through 7, and so it
I mean,
was
you go through 100 to find that one, right?
yes, you do.
You gotta, I mean, like a freaking, I mean, it's totally unrelated, but it's related. Like at Michael Jordan, he said he took 9,000 shots and he didn't make every single one of them. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But he still
Yeah.
became successful because he kept shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, home life, work life, mental illness, any aspect of life, man, super tough. And there's no
Yeah.
doubt about that. Just know that you gotta the moment you stop trying is the moment you lose.
Yeah.
And when you do, you got the support system to, rejuvenate you. And a lot of people don't think they do, but they actually do.
They really do.
Yeah.
I think, and then that's why I love having that moment of just being there, being me for a moment, because it reminds me of that,
Yeah.
because sometimes you're just so too close to it to realize that you have so much more than you thought.
Yeah.
It's a magical experience.
And one last question on this mental health stuff. With all the support, therapy groups, your support system, your family, your friends, anybody that is there for you to help you through any type of mental illness, help with yourself, or if you seek help with, I don't know, if you're religious and you seek help from God or whatever it may be, if you search the whole world for help, like, what do you do when you feel like you didn't get the help that helped you?
Oh,
I mean,
that's a
it's a tough question, but
that's a tough one. So I've gone through that myself. So I guess what I told myself was it goes right back to what I originally said with why do I feel like nothing is helping? Where am I having this disconnect? So I guess it's more of a sense of, okay, well, how about you focus on you instead of having that need to have somebody else focus on you to get you where you feel like you need to be. Let you guide you there in whatever way that you need to try. Obviously, doing it via some other way wasn't working, so inner search, that soul search, like that hippie stuff. That star child stuff. It 'cause that's what I had to do, and it was my own self journey with me, inside dealing with everything that I didn't wanna have to necessarily share with another person and have to say over and over and over again and feel like it's falling on deaf ears. Why do Kaleo, why do I feel that way? And I think it's just a lot of more soul searching, I would feel like.
yeah, no,
How
yeah,
about
for
you?
sure. I mean, no, it's the same thing about like for me at least. I guess I did some soul searching when my individual therapist was talking to me and taught me about like the core of what reminded me and helped me remember it about my core values, like what was my life purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you hit this dead end or you hit this brick wall, just feel like like how I said it. You hit a brick wall and you don't feel like life can go on or whatever it may be. You gotta, as cliche as it sounds, you gotta chip away at the wall and you gotta see the light, because the light is the realization that not everything is as it seems. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
it's definitely. You ever seen that meme where um there's they're underground and then there's two different people digging to go find the diamond or the gold or whatever, and one of them is almost there, literally has like one more chip, and then he's so tired and so he just goes back and he gave up basically. And then the other one
Mm,
is kind of a little bit further away and he keeps chipping away, and he's still motivating himself because he's saying like, I'm almost there. Almost there. I'm tired of this, but I'm almost there. Where like the other guy, he was literally one chip away and he was too tired, and he let that consume him, and then he just was like, I'm done.
yeah.
There's no point. So
Yeah.
it's you just, as tough as it sounds and as easy as it says, as it said, just gotta keep going, man.
Yeah. No matter how hard it is, you are here for a reason.
The Taylor Fernandez, my other guest that was on here, he said it best, man. From Finding Nemo, Dory, you just keep swimming.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the best example, because they're deep in the ocean, right? They got to get the mask, and Marlin is scared. He's hanging onto a rock, and Dory's like, doo 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 doo, just keep going down, and it comes back up, and like, just keep swimming. And even though
What
she
do
can't,
we do?
exactly, you can't see nothing. You can't see nothing, but you just keep swimming because eventually you're gonna hit it. So
Yep.
that's what anything in life, man. That's a super big life lesson, and we are coming to an end. We are coming to an end of the podcast episode. So I do like to shout out all you peoples out here, the millions of viewers and listeners that are listening to this podcast. I appreciate you guys coming through, and hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned some things. Hope you guys, if you guys know some things that we didn't touch upon, or if we said something wrong, go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know, man. We would like to know your guys' thoughts. And I got some big announcements coming soon. A lot of things that, I do want to upgrade the podcast or whatever. I want to make sure that this experience for you guys is very enjoyable, because we're here to entertain you guys, or give you knowledge and talk about deep things, or make you laugh, or whatever it may be. We appreciate you guys coming through. We appreciate you guys listening in. So like I said, on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the noti button so you guys don't miss any alerts about anything. If you guys are on Spotify, thank you so much. Follow the podcast, leave a review, answer the questions. I'll give a little sneak peek. We are planning a live episode where we could totally interact with you guys in the chat. You guys can ask us live questions about anything, and that's all in the works, all in the plans, and a lot of other things are in the plans too. So actually, I'll give you guys another sneak peek too. I'm gonna bring on some co-hosts, so we're gonna see some familiar faces more often, and yeah, super exciting. So if you guys are looking forward to that, then make sure you don't miss out on any episodes every Wednesday on YouTube and Spotify. If you guys don't want to watch the whole episodes, there are YouTube shorts, TikTok videos that there are snippets of each episode. Go ahead and like those and comment in those videos as well. So thank you guys so much again. Kaleo, I appreciate you for coming through as a guest today.
I appreciate you.
No worries, no worries. I'm sorry I made you cry.
No, it's a good thing. It's not bad.
Yeah, no worries.
No matter how much I talk about it throughout my years, I will always cry about that.
Oh yeah.
Because it brings back good memories and sad memories.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What people don't realize, that like sad memories are super important to your core values.
Oh, yeah.
And it reminds me of one of my favorite Disney movies. Damn it, what is it called?
Oh,
The one with the emotions in the little girl's brain. I'm over here saying that my favorite Disney movies, and I forgot the title of the freaking movie.
Oh my god. Oh shit. What is that movie called?
The emotions one. Gosh damn it. I'm thinking Soul, but Soul was made after that movie. Speaking of that, the new one, new Disney movie coming out is Elemental. That one looks very interesting. Have you seen the preview to Elemental?
I have not.
Well, this podcast
Inside
is
Out.
Inside Out. Oh my gosh.
I had to Google it.
Inside Out. Yes. The title would have been better with emotions. Gosh damn it.
Well, but I mean, I get it. The inside,
Out
mental, and then
there.
what projects out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep. Got a point there.
Oh no.
But no, but yeah, so like just real quick before we end this podcast, right? In that movie, Sadness was like always saying that like, oh, I'm not beneficial to Riley. That's the person's name. So I remember the girl's name, but I don't remember the freaking movie name. But and then the happy emotion was like always trying to push away the sadness because she thought that the sadness was affecting the core
Right.
values, but
It's
it wasn't.
Yeah.
Everything plays a part, man.
Everything plays a part.
Now that embarrassing moment is off of my forehead. So what I like to do with the guests, Kaleo, I like to have you guys, tell the viewers, millions of viewers, one saying that you try to live by and you try to, teach others.
I always tell Star's heard this before. I
Yes.
always tell everyone to be uniquely them because it is the best thing that you could ever do. The good, the bad, everything in between. Because if you can't be uniquely you, who the hell are you gonna be? You can't be. I can't be Starr. I am me. I am Kaleo, and no one could ever be me.
No one but you.
No one but me.
Yeah. God made you, God made me, God made everybody. But what is that cuz you actually have like a way that you say that saying. So what is it?
Oh, I do. So remember to be uniquely you. It's the best thing that you could ever do. I love you and I'm proud of you for it. Remember, if you ever need somebody to talk to, there's always somebody out there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for coming through, and I'll catch you guys next week.
Welcome to the Deep Podcast.